kids. I have 2 sons, that I have to train now. I have a 15-year-old. Mm-hmm. I won't even let him go 2 blocks away from my house. On Halloween night, he wanted to go out trick-or-treating. And I kept him in the house. I went and bought him all kinds of candy from Dwayne Reed and told him, please stay in the house. I just don't want him to go outside because now that everybody knows who he is, that he's Eric Garner's son, I fear. And now my other son is in college, and he's in Jersey, in Newark. Mm-hmm. And I make him call me at least. He's like, Mom, 20. I'm like, call me like at least, in the morning before you go to class, when you get out of school, don't go to no parties, don't do this. I'm so afraid of what could happen to them in the street by the police. I'm afraid of the police.
Are you afraid of the police?
Yes, I am.
But I want to go back to another officer, Daniel Pantaleo, and really go into his record. He's actually been sued twice in the past for allegedly engaging in racially motivated misconduct while on the job. As the Staten Island Advance has reported, in 2012, 2 African-American men accused him of subjecting them to an illegal strip search in broad daylight. They said Pantaleo tapped each man's testicles during the search, supposedly to discover any contraband.
There's blood on many hands tonight. Those that incited violence on the street under the guise of protest, that tried to tear down what New York City police officers did every day. We tried to warn, it must not go on, it cannot be tolerated. That blood on the hands starts on the steps of City Hall in the office of the mayor.
And I must remind you that black officers have been killed by white officers. I don't see that passion from Patrick Lynch when that happens. As a matter of fact, he keeps his mouth shut every time a black cop has been shot by a white cop. You don't hear anything from Patrick Lynch. And that's amazing that he can care for these officers because the shooter in this particular case was a black man. But when Omar Edwards laid in the street for a half hour while police brass was figuring, while they were in touch with 1PP, while they were talking to a 1PP right there on 125th Street and 2nd Avenue in the heart of Harlem, when Omar Edwards was killed by a white cop, you didn't see any patch, you didn't hear a word from Patrick Lynch. The only organization that made that an issue to get justice for Omar Edwards was 100 Blacks in Law Enforcement Who Care.
Omar Edwards being a police officer.
A black police officer, a 2-year veteran of the department, just barely off probation, had a young wife, 25 years old, 2 young children, and certainly he should have coddled them. He didn't do that. He didn't even say a word about it. He didn't call for justice. Why? Because the shooter was a white cop. He took his white supremacist position, which is to support the white cop against the black cop. And that's what he always does.
In fact, one of the organizers had a message for Police Commissioner William Bratton.
The NYPD were killed for their blue. I say to Bratton, brother, you don't know blue like black knows blue. We are the blues.
It's unclear if Gurley's family and the protesters will get the justice they're looking for. At this point, the Brooklyn DA has not said whether or not a grand jury has been selected yet to go over the Kai Gurley case. Reporting in the East New York section of Brooklyn at PSA 2, Renee Stoll, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Context of white supremacy. Justice Gus T. Renegade in for another broadcast, hopefully to share constructive information on the system of white supremacy. Today's date, Sunday, December 28th, 2014. So I have been told. Fundraising for the close of 2014. If you think the program is constructive, invest. The link is on the blog, the address racism-notes.blogspot.com, racism-notes.blogspot.com. You'll see the PayPal button in the top right corner. listener-supported counter-racist radio. For folks who are not into PayPal, drop me an email and we can get you a mailing address to support the context of white supremacy. Big thanks to everyone who has contributed and helped us remain on the air for almost 6 years. Would have been very easy. I think I've said consistently, Dr. Welsing, reading is more important than watching television. Reading and writing, studying, making an effort to solve our problems and replace white supremacy with justice, way, way more important. It would have been very easy to loaf around, watch television, sports, whatever, go out and do the bargain shopping after the quote-unquote holidays. But we have extremely serious problems, black people all over the planet, and hopefully folks get some constructive information from the broadcast. I know we have had a very heavy, significant listenership in the greater New York area. Hope the program continues to be constructive for folks who are living in the Big Apple, the Empire State. There has been a lot of news out of NYC really for the duration of the year with regards to racism, white supremacy. Stop and frisk was the big topic, and the new mayor in New York, Bill de Blasio, cowbell, and his pledge that he was going to do something about this and get rid of this program and make things safer for all residents of New York and to instill more trust. And then everything kind of hit the fan big time with the choking death of Eric Garner back in July. That was followed by the non-indictment, the death of Akai Gurley, shot just days before they announced that there would be no indictment for the choking of Eric Garner. And now, just a week ago, the shooting death of 2 New York City police officers. They had the funeral for one of the officers yesterday, Rafael Ramos. That in and of itself ended up being a big political spectacle. You had all these mostly white officers turning their back on the mayor when he was giving his remarks at the funeral. Has just been a fascinating study in racism, white supremacy through and through. We're going to try and cover as much as we can. Should be interesting because our guest, when he was with us last time, it was just a bit after Eric Garner had been choked to death, but before Michael Brown Jr. and all of the subsequent protests and everything else that has unfolded over the past 2-3 months. So it'll be very interesting to kind of get an update from the conversation that we had then to where we are now and what he has been observing at the epicenter of all of this in NYC. For folks who would like to check out his YouTube channel where he has years of content, where he has been out filming New York's finest when they are harassing and terrorizing citizens and giving them citations for anything, having dirty fingernails or wrinkled pants or whatever the case may be, and making sure that we keep in mind that you have a lot of officers who have been documented, charged, driving under the influence, on duty, under the influence, alcohol, and Lord knows what else. Just a lot of great information. And even he has a lot of direct confrontations where he has been recording and officers have stopped him and got upset because he was recording and they had an attitude about this and wanted him to stop immediately. It's just a wealth of great information. You can go to his YouTube channel. It should be linked in the description for this program. If you can't find it or if you're not listening, don't have access to the description, just go to YouTube and put in NYC Resistance and you will access the channel. You can even catch his first visit on our program on his YouTube channel. Real pleasure to have him back with us again. Joining us live, Mr. NYC Resistance. Are you with us, sir?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Outstanding. Real pleasure to have you back on the program. I know a lot of our listeners are big fans of your YouTube channel and had been following you even before you were a guest on the program earlier this year. for any of our guests, this might be their first time hearing from you. Any information that you think it would be helpful for listeners to know about you before we get started?
Well, I'm just a regular guy like anybody else who basically I've been harassed endlessly by the NYPD, being stopped and frisked, pulled over for no reason. I mean, just cops using any explanation to basically write me a ticket or put me in jail. And I just felt that, I needed a way to protect myself, because I know when I go to court, no matter what I say in my defense, the judge always rules in the officer's favor. So I started riding around or walking around with my video camera just for my own protection, so I have some evidence for the encounters. And then I decided to just start recording other people's encounters with the police. And, lo and behold, the same exact thing that was happening to me for years was happening to other people as well. So I started just posting up all these things on YouTube and just showing people how the police primarily targets black people with their stop and frisk policies and all sorts of things to give us tickets and put us in jail. And just put it on my YouTube channel so people can see for themselves that we're not just making it up and just feeling sorry for ourselves and chips on our shoulders and all that type of stuff. It's real. We're victims of a racist police department that's hunting non-white people. So that's basically it.
And just to kind of as a foundation for everything that we discuss moving forward, terrorism, I think in one of your more recent videos, it's titled NYPD Cop, Don't Make Me Have Fear for My Safety. You describe this as terrorism, and I just want to be very clear in explaining what you mean. And if you think that's accurate, that this is not just stop and frisk or stop and search or broken windows. This is an integral aspect of the system of racism, white supremacy. This is the police function in a terroristic manner in non-white areas, particularly targeting black citizens. Is that accurate? And can you explain?
Yeah, that's absolutely accurate. Basically that last video I posted where the cop threatens me. A lot of people, they tell me I should know my constitutional rights. I should, know the law. I have a First Amendment, all that type of stuff like that. That tape shows that black people can't do the same things that I see white people doing. We don't have the right to film, or we don't have the right to do the same things that white people do. In that particular video, I had walked up to a motorist that I believed had just got a ticket because the officers had crossed the street and went to another vehicle to write that vehicle a ticket. They didn't have any squad car, behind the motorist that I approached. Nothing to indicate that, they were still doing, in some sort of interaction with this person. So I asked the guy a question: did he just get a ticket? And then the cops came from across the street, and they started walking into me and telling me to get away from him. I don't know him, and then one officer said, get away from him. That's my stop. And then another officer said, there was two of them. And then the other one says to me, don't make me fear for my safety. I'm making him nervous and stuff like that. And as he's walking into me, trying to bump into me and start some sort of physical altercation with me. So, that just gives people some insight into the fact that it doesn't matter, whether we know our rights, don't know our rights, it's always the same outcome. It's intimidation, which basically amounts to terrorism. We're supposed to be scared of them so that we don't even want to do anything. If you even look at them, they start looking at you they want to approach you or frisk you or stop you. Just looking at them is some cause for suspicion. So it does amount to terrorism because a lot of people are scared of the police, and with all these recent events, it's now people are being made to be so scared of the police that you can't even post comments about the NYPD anymore. They'll come to your house and arrest you. They talk about they arrested 9 people just for leaving comments or, terroristic threats. They're trying to call us the terrorists when they're the terrorists, saying that we're leaving threats on Facebook and social media and Instagram and all this type of stuff. They're just, once again, cracking down on the constitutional rights that we really don't have. We don't have no First Amendment, like I've been telling people, to speak, to film, to do anything. So right now they're just trying to shut us up, quiet us down, and they're using fear and intimidation, fear of being shot, fear of being arrested, fear of being beat up on the side of the road. I just hope that the video speaks for itself because seeing is believing, and that's why that's another reason I go out there with my camera and record everything, because I don't want people to take my word for it. I want them to see it in high definition, video, so they can see for themselves what I'm saying and what other people have been saying for decades and probably centuries is true. this is like the continuation of slavery. Same thing, just in a different form.
Because when I watched that video and you have it, as you said, documented, where you can see this officer coming up to you and saying, hey, don't make me fear for my safety. Don't make me fear for my safety, in a very aggressive manner. And as you said, so that then he would be justified to say, well, hey, he blinked aggressively, or he moved quickly, or he looked like he had a shiny object or something that might be a weapon. So, we had to shoot him 41 times. What is your response? Because there have been a lot of people, we keep hearing all of this, all of these comments that the enforcement officers are afraid of black people. And there's been some pushback on that, where people are saying, hey, I don't think these white officers are afraid of black people. I think they just use that as a lie so that they will be justified in killing non-white people, especially black people, and in fact just going out and performing a racist act against non-white people. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that this is authentic fear?
I think if people just basically go on mediums, social, like websites like YouTube, and they just look with their own eyes, do the police really look like they're afraid of black people? When they see them kicking black teenagers in the head, punching them up, beating them with batons, following people like they did to me when they followed me up on the sidewalk after he said that I was making him nervous and not to make him fear for his safety. He followed me up onto the sidewalk and, pursuing me, looking for altercation. All people have to do is just trust their own eyes and stop trusting these news reports that say that, people are threatening the police on Facebook and social media, and then like they're basically at war. I mean, there's enough evidence to show that police have no fear whatsoever of black people. You see, they finance things like rap music, and they have like all these rappers like Bobby Shmurda or whatever his name is, out there making these rap songs, pointing a trigger finger at the camera, and people think that we're all like that. That's just propaganda to brainwash people into thinking that we're this violent race that wants to hurt people, when everybody knows that black people are the kindest, honest, trustworthy people that you could, race that there is. That's why they always hire our mothers to take care of their elderly, and hire us to be their security guards, and hire us to hold their doors for them and do everything for them. But when they have no use for us, then that's when we become criminals. You see, so people just have to go to YouTube channels like mine and others that show how brutal and how terroristic the police can be. Right now they want to try to demonize us because there's so much evidence out there that it's hard to combat. So now they have to make it look like they're actively being attacked. They're actively being pursued. These two cops in a car were assassinated. Now, all of a sudden they have tens of billions of dollars to make the car glasses on the cruisers bulletproof. You see what I'm saying? They just want an excuse to militarize themselves, give themselves more power, have an excuse to lock up people and come after people who are talking out against them and exposing them, like myself. It's just stop protests, and like their image is really under attack, and so now they have to act like they're under attack, and they're the ones who need sympathy, and they're the ones that they're the good guys being attacked by these bad black people that want to kill them. So it's just all lies, and I hope white people, they know a false flag attack when they see one. Like when there was that Sandy Hook shooting in Connecticut. All the white people, they knew that was a false flag attack to take away their guns. When there was that Denver, Colorado shooting in that movie theater, everybody knew that was a false flag attack to take away their guns. Now they see, in the height of all these protests, they see two cops get executed, in their squad car, during a terror drill in Brooklyn. Like Brooklyn is a terror target. I don't see all these white people coming out and saying, hey, that's a false flag attack, to stop the protest and silence people who are speaking out against the NYPD. Why is nobody coming forth en masse? You see what I'm saying? That's why, as of lately, I started saying this is about race, because there's never the same outcry. There's never the same critical thinking when black people are the ones who are being demonized. When black people, when our rights about to be getting taken away. Why isn't anybody using their common sense and saying that, and just seeing this for what it is? It's a staged event. This was staged to shut us up. It was staged so the NYPD could grab more power, so they could crack down on us, so they could shut us down and quiet us. That's what this is all about. And I just don't see the same, the same perception from everybody. If it's not about race, why aren't people like, dissecting this incident for what it is, a false flag attack to shut us up? They're not doing that. So, that's why I'm like, I mean, this is a black and white thing, despite all the unity and all this hands up and these lay downs and all this type of stuff where, black and white people are marching together, but nobody's really telling the truth. I don't see all those videos on YouTube where people are really dissecting these incidents. You see what I'm saying? Like, what do the police want? What are they asking for right after this shooting? They want bulletproof glass on all the police cars, essentially making their cars tanks. 2 years from now, they're going to say, hey, we have a whole new design for these squad cars. They're going to be basically little tanks with no turrets on the top. And then 2 years after that, then they're going to have the gun turrets on the top. You see what I'm saying? Then a cop is going to get shot in their head. They're going to say, okay, maybe the cops shouldn't wear these little hats anymore. They should wear helmets like troops in Afghanistan. This is where this is going. Yeah, I mean, we already have cops on every single corner in some parts of the Bronx. We have spotlights. We have guard towers, mobile guard towers all throughout the Bronx. And now they're just, basically just saying, okay, we're going to turn this place into a prison. And, I see it, others see it, but, people, like, they want to make us scared to talk about it, under threat that we'll be arrested as domestic terrorists. So that's the type of, stage they're setting.